Okay, we're back with equation student handout notes number 5. And the title is Do We Use Equations in Real Life? Something similar to the one that we did before, but remember we were working on addition and subtraction. This one is working on multiplying and dividing. So the sentence says equations can be used to find missing information and solve problems. So write missing information and solve problems. All right, so this was the format that we used last time. You need to write down what you know. Write down what you need to know. Go ahead and plan out your work and your solution goes over here. So to start off, what I know. Let's read the word problem. It says, the cell phone bill recorded that Jeremiah sent 532 text messages last week. On average, how many text messages did he send each day? So in the I know column, what do you know? You know that he sent 532 texts in a week. And you know that there are 7 days in a week. What do you need to know? How many text messages did he send per day? That's what you need to know. How many texts, I'm going to shorten that, messages did he send per day? And this format kind of helps you. I know it's a lot of writing, but if I was to go back and check your work, I could see where you made your mistake at. So where it says plan and work, so this is where we need to set up our information, right? So we know that those 532 messages were sent in a week, and you know that in a week there's 7 days in a week to figure that out. So it's written in this way because you know that in total there was 532 text messages. There's 7 days in a week. In order to find that, we would need to divide. You remember the opposite? You would have to write your opposite down and do it on both sides. So opposite of dividing is multiplying, but in reality, when we get x by itself, remember you multiplying here, so you would divide to find it. So then you would divide both sides by 7 because you want to get x by itself. So you divide both sides by 7. Now x is by itself over here, and you have 76. You may use a calculator to do 532 divided by 7, or you can do long division. It's not going to take you that long. And all you have to do is to check it. You would have 532, replace your x now with 76, equals 7 times 76, and when you check that on the calculator, you have 532 equals 532, and that checks out. So your solution would be 76 texts per day. It's a lot of texts in a day. All right, so moving to the bottom one. Let me scoot this down for you guys. All right, it says on Friday afternoon, Maggie and her 2 friends wash their neighbors' cars in order to make some money. They split the payment equally and each walked away with $3.50. How much did the neighbor pay them for washing their cars? All right, what do we know? We know that there's 3 people being involved in this, right? Maggie and 2 friends, right? So if you include Maggie, that's 3 total people. There's 3 people who are washing these cars. Also, they each got $3.50. What you need to know is, what was the total? How much did they get paid? So when you are working out this problem for your plan and work, it will be x over 3 because you are dividing that cost divided by 3 people because each got $3.50. So that lets me know that I'm dividing this amount between 3 people, right? And you know that they each got $3.50. Okay, so we need to figure out what that total was when they divided it to get 350. So now, same thing, you got to get x by itself. This x over here is being divided by 3. The opposite of dividing is multiplying. They cancel out. So now x is by itself over here. And now when you do 350 times 3, you get $10.50. And remember to check it. All you do is have 1050 divided by 3 equals 350, and they both check out. I know in your other homework you guys had the part where you check it off, so that's how you would check it off. So your solution would be they got a total of $10.50 to wash cars. Alright, so now we're going to pause if you need to. We're going to go ahead and go to the back. I'm going to start. Remember, we're going to do the first 4 problems together. Then I'm going to let you guys do the other 4 by yourself. Sorry, let me make sure this is straight for you guys to see. Alright, so number 1 at the top, it says a deck of game cards were dealt equally among 6 players. Each player received 7 cards. How many cards were dealt? So, some key things that I would circle: 6 players, 7 cards. Alright. So I know off the top of my head, if it's talking about equally and sharing, that I know that this is going to be divided. So I need x is the total amount of cards that I'm missing, divided into 6 people, and it says each person got 7 cards, right? I know how many cards each person got, and I know there's 6 people. I need to know the total amount of cards. So that x represents the total amount of cards that were given out. Okay, so remember, now you have to get x by itself. You have x being divided by 6 over here. The opposite of dividing is to multiply. They cancel out. Now x is left by itself. You multiply by 6 on this side. You get 42. And to check it, you could put 42 over 6 equals 7. And it checks out that 7 equals 7. So right here, your answer will be 42 cards. Number 2 says each week you spend $18 on school lunches. At the end of a 36-week school year, how much money have you spent on school lunches? So in this equation, you're trying to figure out the total of how much money that you spent. So you were dividing the total of how much you spent between $18 a week, because we already know it was 36 weeks. Each lets me know to divide. 36 and 18 were both used. Alright, so now, same thing with our last problem. To get x by itself, you divide it over here, so you're going to multiply by 18, cancel out, now you're going to multiply 36 by 18, and you get 648 when you multiply that. So in total, she spent $6.48 on school lunches in 36 weeks. And in order to check it, same thing. Wherever x is, you replace it with 648 over 18 equals 36. And it checks out that 36 equals 36. They're both balanced. Remember, with this equations, both sides have to be balanced. Number 3. It says the perimeter of a square measures 26 centimeters squared. What is the length of the side? Remember, perimeter means side plus side plus side plus side. So there's 4 sides that equal the same thing of a square. Squares have equal sides. So you have 4 sides and it equals 26, right? That problem is set up this way because this tells you the total amount, and it says that each side of the square, front and perimeter, all of them are the same. So you have 4 sides, but you don't know how much each side is, but you know they equal 26. So this one you have multiplication because the numbers are side by side. So to find the opposite of multiplying, you divide both sides by 4. X is by itself, and X equals 6.5 centimeters. So that means if this was a square, that means each side was 6.5, 6.5. All you do to check it, plug in 6.5 right here, multiply it by 4, and see if you get 26. And you will. So your answer in this box is 6.5 centimeters. And number 4. A Netflix subscription is on sale for $41.94 for 6 months. What is the cost for 1 month? So you know already that if it's asking for the cost of 1 month, you know that you need to be dividing both sides. But when you set up the problem, you know your total is $41.94, and you know that this was a cost for 6 months. So whatever that cost is times 6 will give you $41.94. So opposite right here, you want X by itself. It's multiplying. You do the opposite. You divide by 6 on both sides. Divide by 6. X is by itself. And when you do that, it was $6.99. Please use a calculator to find this. So each month for 6 months, they basically paid $6.99 for each. You are going to work on 5, 6, 7, and 8 by yourself, and we're going to come back and solve them. So go ahead, take a moment to pause the video and go ahead and solve that. All right, so number 5, when you guys start to work on these, you have Sally's Bake Shop sells brownies for $2 each. At that rate, what is the cost of 2 dozen brownies? If you don't know, there's 12 in a dozen. You need to know that to solve this problem. So when Ed says you have this, X is the cost of the 2 dozens, and there's 24 in a dozen, and they each cost $2. So that's why 2 is over here. Remember, you're doing the opposite. You have division over here. You multiply 24 times 2. You have X equals 48. Now, even if you got the wrong equation, work it out. So if you had 24X equals 2, if you were to divide $2 by 24 cents, that wouldn't make sense, right? So even if you work it out, check your answer to see if it makes sense. You know you wouldn't be paying 74 cents for a dozen of anything. All right? So this would be 48. $48, sorry. Number 6. It says Molly and her 4 friends are attending an opening of Mockingjay. They purchased tickets, popcorn, drinks, and candy for a grand total of $56. They decide they're going to split this evenly. So remember, Molly and 4 of her friends, which means there are 5 people. So that lets me know I'm dividing that total cost by 5 people. And that total cost is $56. Right? The opposite of dividing. The opposite of, oh, sorry guys, I did that backwards. It's not dividing right here, it's multiplying. See? Don't want to get you guys confused. So it's 5x equals $56 because each person paid the same thing. So we would divide by 5 on both sides, which will leave you with X equaling $11.20. Each person had to pay $11.20 for all that at the movies that they went to. All right. Sorry. All right, the last two. In preparation of Thanksgiving, Miss Waters, order 18-pound turkey. She determines that this will be enough to feed 12 people. How many pounds of turkey is she planning per person? So when you do this, you know that each person is going to get the same amount of turkey. And you know that the total is 18. That's where that 18 came from. And you know you're feeding 12 people. All right, 12 people are going to eat that. You just need to know how many pounds each person is going to get. So right here, to get X by itself, you would have to do the opposite of multiplying. You would divide each side by 12. X is by itself. 12 divided by 8. When you plug this into a calculator, please use a calculator, you get 1.5. And that LBS means pounds. 1.5 pounds. Each person will get 1.5. So if you go back to the original equation, it will be 12, 1.5 equals 18, and 18 equals 18 to check it. Last one, a rectangle has an area of 82 feet. What is the length of it? If the width is 10, you remember to find the area of anything, it's length times width. So if you already have the width, you just need the length. So in this case, you guys should know that something needs to be divided. But you know, when we're writing it, we know that. So if we know the width, we're missing the length, but you know the total is 82. All right? So this is basically length times width equals the area. We're missing that part. So if we're multiplying these two, because they're beside each other, you're multiplying, you're doing the opposite to get rid of it. Divide by 10 and they cross out. Divide by 10 and X equals 8.2 feet. And you can check it with a calculator. Okay, so now that we've just finished the notes number, 5, I think, you have actually to do homework number 4. Or actually, I think it is time for another quiz. So you will not have homework, but I will post the equations quiz number 2. You guys already had quiz 1, so this will be quiz number 2. And the code for this one, let's see. The code for this quiz will be, I was drinking this, so I'm going to call it lemonade, all right? So the code for quiz 2 is going to be called lemonade. So you will not have a homework to do, but you need to complete that quiz on Canvas, okay? So if you have any questions, let me know.